Evening, gentlemen. In recent videos we've been looking at Alekhine's major wins in the 1920s as he edged ever closer to Buenos Aires, Capablanca and the World Championship. Of course, to do this he needed to raise about 10,000 US dollars, which is some 450,000 USD in today's money. Now we're in 1926 and he's playing Gruenfeld, the #1 board for Austria, and a notable chess opening theorist. You might know him for the eponymous Gruenfeld defense, which he uncorked in 1922.
So this Queen's Gambit accepted arises after d4, d5. Now Gruenfeld deciding not to opt for his own Gruenfeld variation for some reason. Nevertheless, he does choose a sideline, where he gives up the center here in the hopes of being able to attack it quickly later, as he believed to be a very good strategy from the black point of view. So after knight f3, he now pulls out bishop g4. Now Gruenfeld was reportedly once caught saying that he doesn't make mistakes in the opening, but this is a disastrous move which Alekhine immediately exploits by attacking the bishop, which we'll see is costing black a lot of time and actually serving as fuel to white's kingside expansion. After bishop g6 and h4, he plays f6. But this bishop g4 move has really cost black a lot in the opening, as he now is a little bit starved for space. Now instead of bishop g4, knight f6 is often seen, with a possible continuation being e3 and c5. Black's plan in accepting this so-called Queen's Gambit pawn is to strike back at the center quickly, and try and use the time that white is going to spend recapturing it. So after g6 we see here that black has some pressure on the center. Now Gruenfeld makes a second mistake by playing bishop g6. He could have had the same line up a tempo if he played f6 immediately. Unfortunately he played f6 a move later, and is just a move down in this variation, which causes him to get slapped on both sides of the board.
Yeah, and here Alekhine takes the time to grab the pawn on c4, and Gruenfeld replies king f7, which is actually Stockfisher's suggestion. An alternative would have been to play queen d7, which is a Leela's suggestion, or even queen d6, which is highlighted in orange as a suspect move. It was played in a game in 2002 by amateurs. Alekhine takes the opportunity to grab more space in the center with e4, and Gruenfeld plays knight d7. Now it would seem that a better move would have been to start off with b5, gaining space, and after queen d3, now we get knight d7. Now black is forced into making this sort of distraction to avoid getting clapped on the king side.
So Alekhine prepares his storm by first preparing to castle queenside. After queen a5 takes the time to play a3 just to embarrass this bishop and make it even more cramped for black, who comes up with rook e8. After f4 we reach a picture-perfect position where the black monarch must be sweating hard behind his closed formation. The best Gruenfeld could come up with here was knight e7. Now a very fascinating computer line that might have alleviated his troubles somewhat comes with knight b6, after which queen b3 and f5. He is going to try and retard the support storm slightly. h5, just trying to split the king position open. And here Leela's grand scheme is king e7, just sleazing off to the queen side in the hopes of obtaining a safe king's position. Now queen d1, knight c8, a pretty sad move to make. Followed by e5, king d8, gf and gf, and we see that black has some chances to hold this. At least he's no longer as critically cramped for space as he was before. I certainly would rather play this, particularly because white doesn't have any easy ways to further open the position, so black may have enough time to get his pieces off the back rank.
Yeah, so as is, white has numerous pawn breaks in the works. First takes the time to castle long, and after knight c8 we start off with f5, then knight d6, attacking the queen. The queen drops back, keeping pressure along this diagonal. Perhaps queen b3 would have been slightly less idiotic, but not a huge difference. Now comes g5 from back, attempting to close down the position. h5, and we can see that this rook is basically killed off with this move. b5 from black is probably just too little, too late. And Alekhine crashes through with e5 on.
Now, after much deliberation, Master Gruenfeld decided to take on e5 here. An alternative way to die would have been knight c4, as suggested by Stockfish. After which bishop c4, and queen c4. Black's main idea is going to be to try and stir up as much trouble on the queen side as possible, so he doesn't passively die. So to do so, he first brings more pieces towards the queen side. And after queen takes c6, bishop takes a3. It is crucial to try and distract white from simply rolling him over. Now, white is not to be distracted so easily. According to Stockfish, he should try and detonate a bomb in black's face with d5. After rook c8, he can take here with check. After king g8, his queen's attacked, but he can counterattack the queen and undefend this rook, to which black can opportunistically take here, since white must play king c2 to avoid the queen unchecking itself with check. And after queen b6 and queen c8, we see that black is certainly still going to lose, most likely, but at least he would have forced Alekhine to play precisely.
Yeah, so as mentioned, the field Gruenfeld chose to die on was f takes e5. Now, white's obviously not going to recapture here and let black develop his knight. He's also not really going to care about this pawn. More important is the attack he has brewing. So he casually plays bishop d3. Gruenfeld attempts e4 to either close down the position or trade off some pieces. But we'll see that after knight takes, bishop takes, and further moves, knight f6, f takes c6, rook takes, allowing the bishops to get involved. Black is truly just crumbling. White has absolute dominance with these bishops and this queen, and the rooks are going to get involved. And furthermore, from black's perspective, his king is trapped in the middle with no support from pawns, and these pieces are also practically trapped. So we can see that black won't be surviving much longer.
Now Gruenfeld decided to play on, perhaps awaiting an earthquake or something. b4 with a veiled attack on this bishop. Now a very thematic here from Alekhine would have been d5, simply splitting everything open. And after cd and rook takes d5, Stockfish, after some ruminations, concludes that rook takes h5 is the best move, which is certainly a testament to the misery which black is faced with. Now back to Alekhine's choice, which was bishop f5. Stockfish suggests queen d5 to struggle on. Gruenfeld, however, decided to lose a rook's worth of eval with rook e2, and after rook e1, decided he'd had enough of this, and resigned.
Yeah, that was pretty brutal. So in 1926, Alekhine played 2 major tournaments, Hastings and Semmering. In 1927, he'd play 1 major tournament before the World Championship match, that would be New York, in which he'd play Capablanca 4 times, drawing 3 times and losing once with white. If you guys are interested, we might cover a game from that tournament, otherwise we'll move on to the World Championship match and Alekhine's ultimate victory. Subscribe and happy clowning.